Yeah. So Colournostics, so most of you are familiar, you know who we are, but we are just going to be talking about it for those who haven't seen it as well. When Thelma and I reflect on um, uh, how long we've been doing this, it's 2006, so that's 20 years, Thelma, and that's our own individual career field. So yeah, a lot of experience between us. Thelma?
Okay, so how does color psychology work? As we all know, every color has an emotion behind it, and these emotions, yeah, they actually reveal some messages. They can communicate. It's the same like when marketing uses a color for their products. They want to communicate something about the product, and they will use the right colors to actually make it more attractive or reveal what the product is about. So, as I always say, there are no good and no bad colors because every color has a positive and a negative quality. And so you can actually talk to color. It's like a language. It just depends what question you are asking. And when you get that information about what the color is trying to communicate with you, it actually gives you insight, seeing within, and that can change your whole perspective, your whole mindset, because now we understand, oh, that is the reason, or that is where is my challenge, or that these are my talents or my gifts. Yeah, so that is a very beautiful way of communication, and you could do the same with sound. You know, if people are a little bit low and you put on your favorite song that can really uplift you, it could get you into a different state of mind. And the same is with color actually. So every one of us, knowingly or unknowingly, we all make color choices, and they are actually a reflection of what's going within our subconscious or within our mind that is sometimes not easily communicated. You know, when sometimes you feel like, oh, why am I feeling sad? Or why am I all of a sudden, feel distressed? It can all change. We all have that. You're good in the morning, and you hear something or you see something, and all of a sudden your mood shifts, it changes. And with color, you can actually read what is the core of this emotional change. So that's why we used psychology of color together with NLP. Mary is a master in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. That is also how are you asking certain questions? What are the words you're using? And combined with the background or the information behind every color, you get a lot of insight. You get another. I always say it's another language. Yeah. And we wanted to develop something that is very simple and effective. Some of you know about the teaching of color comfort. It's quite intense. You have to learn a lot about color and what it means. But we thought, oh, why don't we put it in a toolkit that everyone can just use it. So that is why we've made it in such a way that you can identify your clients' real underlying issues, not what they say, and it cuts time. It is really very effective because you don't have to go in circles. I've met quite a few people who said, well, you've done something within half an hour, what my other therapists, it took them months. Yeah. And when a client can understand what is the issue, then they can also work with that and see, okay, what needs to change. So now, what I love about it is that the coach or you and I, we are not influencing, we only guiding the process. And it is not our intuition that, try to influence the client or our knowledge. No, we are just showing the client what to do, answer the questions with a color. And when we start getting information of what is our actually inner dialogue, what is it saying, because that runs the whole day, then you can also start changing it and change it into a different inner dialogue. So with Colournostics, you can use it with a lot of different modalities. You can use it with massage therapists use it, hypnotherapists use it, life coaches use it. It doesn't matter. It is just another tool to start off and say, okay, we have an issue here. The client is coming to see you. They have something that they want to resolve or solve. And with the language of color and NLP together, you can easily get to the core of it. And what I also love is that, because Mary works with children, I don't, but Mary works with children, and even children, they can understand the process or they get insight within themselves very, very, very fast. There is no, it's not a high step, to sit down and say, okay, choose a color. It's not, it's an easy way. It's very easy to work with. So as we said, that's why we combine it with NLP. So if you ask the right question, the client will identify her or himself with the question, and they will start telling their story. And because I've I've always said the best healing or the best coaching is really to give every client the the feeling or the understanding that they are heard, they are understood, because you are picking up something that lies deep within their subconscious and bringing it to the surface. And often you will see that there are things coming up that they have never discussed with anyone because they were all were ashamed or afraid, or there was no one available. And with this, that is so, I think, so powerful, because every one of us, we need community. We need to be heard. We need to be understood. And that gives us a feeling of we are okay. We are okay. We are whole as we are. And there are different options that we can change. We can, move things around within our own mindset. And that is why I just love the whole process. So as I was saying that, there is no discussion of, oh, come up, why are you here or what? No, let your clients choose a color and you will go straight to the core of why they're actually coming to see you. Yeah, and it also, when we go back to the prism, it shines a light, and the light is dispersed in the different colors. And that is exactly what we are doing. We are shining a light onto the subconscious, and it reveals a lot about your client and even about yourself, if you do the process on yourself. So that is why we call it a breakthrough cool toolkit, because it doesn't matter, uh, if there is always a breakthrough, there is always an aha moment for the client. There is always something that they recognize and that they get excited from. And with every session, and there is always, always see a shift of, oh, I can look at it from a different way. I can see it now, or I can see where I was stuck, or I can see a way out now. And that is the greatest gift I think we can give humanity, because every one of us have issues to deal with. We all have doubts or fears or struggles or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. But if you can find a little part of small part to say, oh, now I understand and I can work on this. The breakthrough toolkit doesn't say that, oh, you only have to do a session once and everything is resolved. No, that's not it. Because there are layers and layers and layers that we have to identify, and but it is a start. And sometimes people need more than one session. Sometimes they get it in one session and it's done. But even if your client has one session and they say, oh, I've got it now, I know. There is always something else, because everything is linked. How we treat our family, or in the workspace, or there is always something. So maybe you solve something, how you deal with things in the workplace, but then the family comes and there's another issue to work through. Yeah, so it can solve an issue in one go, one issue. But why I like it also, by solving one issue, you can also see, hey, there is another issue that is related to this. Yeah. And before I'll ask Mary to show you the process, I have, because most of you have already worked with Colournostics, what I have done, because of knowing that there are layers within layers, what I can recommend to you, if you have the toolkit already, and just do a session on yourself for a week, and see what comes up. And what I have noticed, I have done that for myself. I saw in the end that there was one major trend that was actually coming up. And I didn't see it in the first day or the second day. No, it was after 7 days, or you could do it 10 days. It doesn't matter, whatever suits you. I saw a trend that was actually the basis of a lot of my issues. And in my case, it was actually trusting myself. And that was a big shift, because I was thinking of different issue in that week, but the end result was the main trend that I had to work on. So if you don't use the toolkit only for your clients, please do it for yourself as well. And in the next webinar, I will go and share a little bit more about color and all the different ways how you can also use it for yourself and play with it. If you understand how the negative and the positive of colors work, then you can play with the whole process and get far more information than you might even get with with other things. So that's a little bit what I wanted to share with you. So I think Mary, you wanted
Yes.
to
Okay.
go
Yeah.
to the next.
I hope I just haven't, have I muted myself? No, no, that's all good.
Good.
Um, yes, so is my screen showing now, Thelma, or is it you?
It's on my screen. I have the screen on.
Yes, so it's
Oh,
still
you want me
your
to stop sharing? Then you share?
no, 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 it's all right. I'll just shift to view just so I can be seen. I should be the speaker there. Anyway, good. So uh what can you see me or are you
Yes, yeah,
seeing you?
it's all good. Just
Oh,
go
oh,
ahead.
good. Oh, good. So what I'm just going to add to what Thelma said there. What was very important to us was that while we're also talking about a breakthrough, we were also wanted to make sure that there was a resolution, an ending to every session. A lot of times, people would say to us they'd go to counselling and it would be left where you have to work on this for the week, and people would come out feeling that there was they were going to have to go through stuff on their own. And I knew from NLP that we didn't need to have it that way. We wanted a process that we knew that when the person left our clinic, that they were in a good space, because when you are unraveling very deep issues, it is very important that you know that your client is okay when they leave. And so when we designed it, we wanted to make sure that that level, that layer, had been wrapped up and that they were um, able then to work on deeper issues, but they weren't going to be dragged down afterwards. So we looked at it, we wanted it to be clear that when you looked at the board, you knew exactly what you were doing. There's a beginning and there is an end. And we wanted to do that without words. And that's why we came up with the board and why we came up with the steps. This is what we're going to be doing. Now, if you even a child knows, here are the steps. You can see this is what we're going to be doing. There's no question of, it can go on and a person's going, oh, how long is this going to take? Where are we going with it? They know where they're going with it. And the minute they see that, their subconscious, this is all NLP stuff, but your subconscious immediately starts to work. Ah, there is an ending. Ah, I have to go through these steps. It just frees the subconscious up to know that there is a process. It makes the subconscious self feel safe to know that they can go deeply into this issue and go deep into the subconscious, because they know that we will also be able to take them out again. And that's a very important part of the process. So the next slide, so the first step, we're going to go through them. The first two steps identify the issue that your client is struggling with. And, often they've come to you for a reason, and generally they will tell you what that is. Um, this is the problem. And so in some ways, that's clarifying the issue in a mental way. This is what's happening in my life right now. And it's good to know that. I mean, they don't have to tell you, but if they've come to you as a client, they will be telling you that. And so once they have explained what that is, you are able then to say, well, what color would you choose to would reflect that? And again, just as I think it was Wendy said before, sometimes they'll start that and think, oh, it should be this color. Like I'm angry about something, it should be red. But that's where I will sometimes say, look, if you're not sure, just what color do you not like? Don't you like on the board at the moment? And that tends to just bypass the should color that you have. So the next one is identifying what's blocking your client. So if we move to the next slide, um, each time we are going to the meaning of the colors. And we're just showing you in this presentation the book, the manual. The manual is, you can't do any of this without the manual. You can apply the manual to many other different therapies, because you could just by asking the person about a color, as Thelma mentioned, if you were a yoga teacher or a massage therapist or some other, even a physical, some other physical work. but you always need the manual to get that insight about what the meanings of the color they've chosen. And the client chooses either one or two sentences, or they may choose all of them that best reflects their feelings and emotions. So, sorry, just go back to that previous one, Thelma. So, in step two, that's often a lot quicker to find. You know, what's blocking you from moving forward? By then, it's what color don't you like on the board when we look at what's blocking you. And that is the one, that's really where the magic happens, because your client has tried many, many ways to deal with that issue. And they've done it really, we don't realize that we're kind of doing the same thing all the time. As Thelma said, we kind of have a theme in our lives that we start with, and that will reappear lots of different ways. But we want to find out what's blocking your client from moving forward. So that also is the place where you can say, is that, are there any memories of where that first began? And in the modules, you'll see that we have a download, a PDF that takes you through that process of, when did that first start in your life? Or, um, as Thelma was saying, she doesn't trust herself. Um, and for me, this morning I was racing around with Thelma, getting ready for us. It's the morning, and this color always comes up when I'm racing around getting the presentation ready, and it's always the navy. It's always, oh my gosh, I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, and I just know exactly where it goes back to. That very strict teacher I had, when I was 7, that there were to be no mistakes, and it's just saying, oh, here I am in that panicky place. You can't get anything wrong. And it's just, you're just choosing the color, and it's different every time. And what's the color that's just going to put me in that calm place? And that's the one I go with. So that, and almost instantly, my whole body calms down, my mind calms down, and step by step, um, I'm just put myself into a different state of consciousness, and my inner dialogue changes. So it's this one, the step two, is the powerful one. So moving forward, we then have the very specific questions about designing how to move you forward. And that's really important. So next slide, Thelma, black one. Being able to answer not with words, but with color is so important, because the minute we ask somebody to provide a solution, they'll immediately go to the mental place, almost to the left brain. Oh, well, this is what I need to do. Well, you haven't done it yet. What we need to shift is the consciousness, and to change beliefs. And that is why, by choosing the color, you're bypassing the rational mind. So our color choices come from our subconscious. It's why we instantly, oh, don't like that color. It's an emotional response. The logical thinking has not been able to solve the problem. And, you might say, people will say, oh, I need to let go, that type of thinking. Sure, just for instance, oh, I need to let go the panicky feeling if I'm going to be doing a presentation. No, I don't need to people don't let things go. You replace it. And if you're hanging on to if you're falling down a cliff and you're holding on to a branch, somebody says, let go, and then we'll give you somebody will rescue you. No, you have to send the rope down, hold on to that rope that we're sending down, and then they'll let go the little branch. So when you replace it with this new inner dialogue and these new beliefs, what happens is it just immediately dissolves the previous one. You have no need of it. So your colors will take you instantly into what's underlying the current problem, but at the same time, it will open up new possibilities and solutions. That's why we say it can be integrated with any coaching practice because you're just using the color choices to reveal these underlying issues and new perspectives. So everything is about the new perspective. Changing your perspective, you see the world with new eyes and your world will change. And a really fast example of this is, if you were, say, in an accident and somebody just, or somebody just bumped into your car from behind. You might be there, somebody gets out of a car, they're angry, what have you done that for? But then they might go to the stand outside and realize, oh, the person behind me wasn't to blame. Somebody further back shunted them into that, and something else had happened. And immediately your perspective changes. Just in an instant, you've seen the world, you've seen the situation with new eyes. That happens all the time, doesn't it? Oh, I got that wrong. And immediately your emotional state changes. That's happening in Colournostics as well at lightning speed. So you may have seen this case study before. And the reason we use it is because this is a really burnout, um, overload, and overwhelm is just really a very common theme in today's world. And it is something that, a lot of our clients will come to us for. They're wanting to make big changes because they think, oh, I have to change all my circumstances because life is just too much. Or they've been ill. Yeah, so this is a woman who was overwhelmed, overloaded with work worries. I mean, we all know this story. Too much to do, exhausted from being called on to help by family, ground down, and feeling she wasn't coping. And when the color, asking her to choose the color that best described how she felt about the whole situation, she chose navy. Yep. And this is from the book, and this was pinpoint her issue. And there were all of these uh, thoughts and feelings. And, for her, all of them, she just said, look, absolutely everything on this page, this describes me. She was Mrs. Responsible. And so it really, she was weighed down by people depending on her, a role she took very seriously. So you can see there, but she felt burdened by the responsibility. Some people just thrive on responsibility and others are burdened. But for her, look at the last two, anxious about making mistakes or failing. And that made her unable to organize herself in a productive way. She was very scattered. Next one. So what's stopping her from moving forward? uh, and this block in the road. She tried, but she was just getting more ground down. So she was the color she chose that was blocking her was lime green. And here again is from the book. And why I'm saying this is from the book is next week we'll be using the online tool to show you, which is similar, but most of you have the toolkit. So if we have a look at what she chose from here, the confrontation, she suppressing herself to avoid upsetting others, over accommodating others, compliant around dominating people, never felt quite good enough, and lacked confidence that she'd done enough for others. But then there was that little bit of that bitterness. I'm missing out. Others get a better deal. So this is where I asked her, is this a pattern in your life? And these were the messages she recalled. Now, she knew that she was doing those things in lime green, but she had not ever connected it to the messages that she'd got from her childhood. Um, and you probably have guessed that she was probably an oldest child, which she was. But this was the message: put others before yourself, do the right thing, always be kind and caring to others. Um, she was over responsible, and she didn't want to not be responsible, but she felt guilty if she said no to a request because you had really been told you must never say no. And she had adopted these beliefs as the rules of life. And of course, others did not reciprocate because she was doing all the hard work. So this was, yeah, that came that's that whole Navy message, Navy, and that was the Navy message of almost uh, other people are in charge. You have to do what they say. But the green was showing how she was just totally fed up with over accommodating. So you really want that clarity before you step into the waterfall. And what you're really saying is when I step into that, I'm going to, I see what my lifelong pattern of compliance, duty, and over responsibility for others. She had never updated those set of beliefs from her childhood. So, what I say to them is, okay, do you want to keep those childhood beliefs? They're ground into you probably before the age of 7, before the age of 9. Do you want to keep them? Would you like to make a change? You go, oh my gosh, I want to change them. I want to update them. Right, just leave them here. Step into the waterfall, let them dissolve, and stand under that waterfall for a minute and then step out the other side. So the very specific question is, you've stepped out the other side of that waterfall. So what would it be like if somehow, without you knowing how, everything was solved? Um, and what color would you choose? And that happens very quickly. You're bypassing the rational mind. If it was solved, what would it feel like to be free of that issue? And she chose red. And there's our page from read 3. Go to what she chose. She realized she felt energized because energized to make a change and clear on what gave her energy and what didn't. Now, she actually knew what gave her energy and what didn't, but she couldn't move forward with it because her beliefs had told her she was not allowed to. There was another way to look at life, and she was ready to do something different. She was ready to move away from her past self. So the next question is, well, what new thoughts, beliefs will help you move forward? And again, you're going to speak. No, we choose the color first because the color will give you a completely new message and new awareness. She chose the color yellow, and this will often happen in a session. She just laughed, even just as she chose the color. So, oh, I'm choosing yellow. It was just not a color in her life at all. And here we are. This is to strengthen the transformation that you've made. So here's the from the book and going to this one. This is what she chose. Her energy changed as soon as she picked the yellow. Now, something I must well just mention here. One of the things I do, and I started it with children, but I realize adults need it too. Actually, adults need it more than children. Or when I don't do this in the negative because you're already overdoing this experience in the negative. In the positive, you want to move past the mental. I say just feel that color, feel it pour through your head, feel it go down through your head, your throat, where you express yourself, your heart, your gut. Feel it go to your feet. And then tell me, does that color feel warm or cool? And the reason I do that, and if you do that even with me now, just feel that yellow, just go through your head, into your throat, your heart, your gut, and down to your feet. And does that feel warm or cool? And just notice that there is an energy change. And you can hear my voice. My voice is now slowed down. I've got a different timbre in my voice. I'm now operating from yellow. And why I ask, is it warm or cool? It doesn't matter if it's warm or cool, but by feeling the temperature, I know then that you have felt the color physically. When you felt the color physically, I know you've felt it emotionally. So when they've done that, they've now connected physically, emotionally, mentally to that color. And that's the energy change. For her, that was that spontaneity of laughter, the energy. She's strong, she's uplifted. And I already, even having the yellow said, I just feel more expansive. Can you see my hand movements have even changed? I'm more open, I'm more upright. It just gives you that energy change. So she just came out with, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I feel strong and clear, as if I'm being given a new direction. She chose words from the book. I can be my true self rather than the image I should project. I can let go this burden of self-criticism. I can be happy and free. And she realized the self-criticism was coming from the past. So these statements in step 4 begin with I, because these become her new inner dialogue, her new self-talk. So, what's going to help her continue to evolve on this path? So, we have 3 steps in the positive, we had 2 in the negative, and we have 3 in the positive. She chose blue. These also begin with I. This now is her new inner dialogue. And we've only got 6 or 7 of those. Sometimes I'll go back to step 4 if I feel that there is even more that they can gain from their extra statements, but generally that just having a few statements in the blue in that final step will help. So again, I want you to feel the blue. Just take a moment and just feel that as if the blue has entered your head, gone down through into your mind, your brain, down into your throat, into your heart, into your gut, down your legs and into your feet. And again, I can hear the change in my voice. It always happens when I do blue. My voice calms, it lowers. I've got a calmer, I'm more relaxed, and I'm even speaking differently. So let's go to the meaning that she got from blue. This immediately happens. That her head felt clear and calm. She saw what she had to do. She could sort it out in her own way. And she just felt that she believed it was believed it was okay to hand responsibilities back. She felt she could trust herself and her inner voice. And that inner voice had been speaking to her, but she had never spoken up. And she had never said what she had thought. It had always gone through that belief system of, I have to serve others, basically. So let's go to, I saw her a month later, and that session of just working with her beliefs every day, she just worked with her, the new statement she'd made for herself. She worked with the yellow and the blue, and but she just said, I feel like a new person. I'm calm, I'm strong, I'm empowered within. The big change was that she knew that the deepest level, her feelings were equal to others. And it was not so much about behavioral change because that resulted, she had to change. I am entitled. My feelings are equal. It was dramatic. This is a woman in her late 40s, you know, really her for 40 years, she had not done uh, followed her choices. She had followed others. So her stress levels had dropped. She felt she was able to remain calm, regardless of what was going on in her life. The plus was she was closer to other people as they were open and positive in their response to her. And the big reason she told me they were open and responsive to her was she said, I didn't say any of this in a complaining voice. She said, I was in my yellow and blue, and she said, I just had this lovely energy when I explained it. When I said something to my children about how I was changing and how we're going to do things, they said, oh, okay. She said, because I was coming from a very, I wasn't blaming them. I just said, I am making changes. And I believed in myself, and they just believed me. And it was very easy to make the changes because I'd changed my inner belief. People sometimes say, "Oh, do you choose all the colors at the beginning?" Well, the reason, no, as they move through each step, every step they're making deep changes from even step one, that where you're kind of mentally explaining a problem, to step two. That's a huge transformation in your subconscious. So step three, step four, step five, they're all in evolution. So that's what makes the breakthrough lasting. It's what makes it easy and natural because um, you're actually moving into a healed place step by step. They've now created a new story. They're now free to transform how they're reacting just by using the colors that they discovered for themselves in the session. It's all about that inner belief, which then translates to new actions. So Wayne Dyer said it, if you change the way you see things, the things you see will change. We all have examples of that, don't we? And this is using that consciously. And it's all very well to say that, but it has to be at the emotional level. I'm seeing things, we could say if you change the way you feel things, the things you feel will change. And that's really, we need to paraphrase some Thelma so that we have that. So our purpose, Thelma's and mine, um, is to give you and other practitioners our tools to use with their clients. We know that it works. That my filing cabinet is full of these amazing stories, and we moved from uh, first of all, we had a process, and then we made a kit, and then we realized we aren't going to be around forever. How do we show people how easy it is for you to learn Colournostics? Because um, it's just such a wonderful way to work with people, and people just go away so uplifted. But the other person that gets uplifted is us as a practitioner. It's always a joyful experience to work with colour. So, Thelma, I've done enough talking. Would you like to carry on?
Sorry. Yes, so well, most of you know about the toolkit. It comes in it's a box. They have the board because what people like to do something physical. They have to pick up a card and place it somewhere. That's another, something that does something to our mindset. So
Sorry,
we are,
Thelma, can I just
yes.
interrupt there? Oh, so just one thing. The reason we particularly wanted to be able to choose is that the act of choosing actually really uh, is the decision making. We could just give people by choosing, you've actually made a decision. And this comes from learning styles theory, that it really speeds up the whole process. So the idea of choosing and selecting, people are empowered by choosing. And that choice, being able to physically put a card down, strengthens that. And that we wanted to incorporate that choice into the whole design of the board. Carry on.
Yeah, yeah, and yes, thanks, Mary. You're right, and it also puts the client in control.
Mm.
That is how they perceive it, and it
So
is.
yeah. So just go back
Oh,
there also, Thelma, that next week we'll be using the online platform in the webinar, just so you can see how it opens up possibilities with online clients. We would do 50-50 now with clients. With children, I like them to come to me. It's just because they like the physicality. But with adult clients, yes, I would do most of mine sessions online, and we work with people overseas as well. So that's today's world, isn't it? We have the technology.
Yeah. Well, I think we've discussed this all. It is designed to break some old patterns that's keeping them stuck. Um, what I
I think,
like
yeah.
about it is the insight. They actually, and it happens to me every time as well. Because Mary and I, we sometimes do the process on each other, also via online. Because and it's always very informative and it changed and it's transformational. So what I also like about it is that we've written it in a book. So actually it's black on white. People can read it. It's not hocus pocus. We're not pulling things out of our hat, but it is there for them to read themselves. So that is just a great thing. Very easy
I
to
think
read.
yeah, we may just have some questions. Shall we just,
Yeah, do
oh,
you
carry
want
on,
to?
sorry.
Yeah, because we don't have to carry on along because we're running out of
Because all of
time.
these people have got, what's
Yes,
the next one?
you know exactly what are the advantages. You do not
Mm.
have to study anything. You could just start working with it. And do you want to continue or you want to open up the questions?
No, no, just yeah. So just showing the modules, just reminding people what we've
Yeah, in
got.
the fundamental course, there are three modules. One is the five-step process. One is a little bit more about NLP and how to ask better questions. And there are also quick two-step processes or even one-step processes if you want. So that is there because that the fundamental course is an online course that comes with the toolkit. You cannot buy the toolkit without getting the fundamental course. And that's just because, yeah, we need to give you the right information. There will be two more free webinars. The one and the next one, we will start going into more on the meaning of color and how it works. And shall I stop sharing?
Uh, what's the next one? Yeah, I think we can stop sharing.
Yeah,
Right.
was very quick, but it is yeah, it's quite powerful, but so simple. And what I like is the simplicity of it, and you cannot go wrong. That's
But we
my
really do. I love what Thelma said. You cannot go wrong. Whenever we've asked somebody to help us with social media, which we desperately need. But we've just said, well, look, here's uh, here's the toolkit. Go away and see what you can make of it. And they say, oh, I've done it with my husband. I've done it with I've done it with my friend. Very quickly, it was designed so that you could pick it up and anybody could do it. Now, for us as coaches, of course, we need to be a lot more careful because we're doing it with clients who've come with issues. But the actual process is we designed it so that anybody could pick it up. But coaches, you want a lot more depth. So I've just seen we've got something in the chat. Are there any comments or questions? What have we got there?
Now, I will answer Saskia's two
Yeah.
questions. So Saskia asked, how can the client work with the chosen colors after the session, like in the lady with the yellow and blue, and in the modules, there's always a self-test. She wants to know if we want to get the answers to you? No, the self-test is really a self-test. You test yourself. And the more you work with the process, you will get the hang of it. It is because it is so self-explanatory. How your client can work with the colors. There are several things.
Yeah. It's your little book, Thelma. Your little thing they've written down.
Yep, they could write it down. We had feedback from people who had written down the words, put it in next to the bed in the drawer, and after a year, it just happened. Everything that she said, because the seed has already been put into your subconscious. And but if you want to really be very active, and if it's a very difficult issue for you to work with, then you can paint something in those colors and hang it up somewhere, or use those specific colors because when you start consciously using a color, that is the difference if you are doing it consciously or unconsciously. Let's say if you understand why you are working with that color, what is the information behind that, that is the power. It is a combination of the frequency of the color and the energy it gives, but also the understanding what the meaning is behind that color. What can it make you do? Like for instance, let's say the color yellow. That's one of the least worn colors or the least used colors, because a lot of people related color yellow subconsciously with fear. But if you understand that this color can actually give you more clarity and more joy and upliftment, you see how just the shift of understanding this is the color. In my subconscious, it was always related to fear. But now I understand the other side of that color, and that has actually the opposite effect. And that is why in the next webinar, we're going to delve a little bit more into the different sides of color and how you can play with it.
So, just as an example of how people work with colour, so one of the things that people come to me for, particularly teenagers, is this freezing in exams. Often they've had learning difficulties or whatever, but whatever colour they've chosen, so I just give them, and this is an NLP thing, you really want like an anchor, and we talk about that in the modules. So, what's your colour? So that, just for instance, say if it's blue, um, what's your color, what's your word, and what are you going to do? So they've got to stop and they've just got to say blue, what's the temperature? Because if just saying it is not enough. They're going to a panic state in the exam. And we just practice it. Blue, feel it. Okay, it's warm. The minute they've felt that temperature, they've shifted their state. And then watch your words. And it might be clear and calm. So it's blue, feel it, it's warm, clear and calm. And that is how you work with it. So you've got your color, and that's what you did on your little chart, your little booklet. You identify what that is. So then that's how you use it, so that you connect physically, emotionally, and mentally to change your state in really 20 seconds. Now, I have had so many kids go through exams where they never could before. They start handing in material, they start finishing exams, and it is simply they've used that tool. We've done the work in the session, but that's how they work with it afterwards, and that's how you will work with it as a coach as well.
Good.
And just one more thing on Saskia. Saskia, you are always very welcome to email us with any questions. We say this in every webinar, and we'll get a few questions, but very quickly people start using it and say, "Oh, I haven't got any questions. I know what to do." But we are always open to talking about we'll make one of these sessions, a Q&A as well. So do try and use the box, even if it's just on yourself, the toolkit, just so you've got questions for us. Yeah. Any
Good.
questions today? So look, we look forward to seeing you next time. Thelma's really we're going to do get into the color and which, we all love and really sort of seeing how that relates to inner dialogue. It's all about changing the inner dialogue. It is just so powerful to do that.